All right, let's talk about the Chicago Bears here for a little bit. Look, obviously, this Bears team has a lot of energy, a lot of momentum, a lot of buzz, a lot of big time playmakers added to this Bears roster. This is looking like one of the up and coming teams in the NFL. Everyone sees that, obviously, at this point. And to that end, the Bears made a very interesting move by adding another piece to this roster to potentially fill out a competitive area on this roster. Let's get into this report, then we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is courtesy of Bears Digest. Former Bears return man DeAndre Carter officially returned to the team and has shown at various NFL stops the ability to compete with players the Bears already have returning punts and kicks. The signing by the Bears of return man DeAndre Carter became official on Tuesday, creating instant job competition on special teams. Carter has returned both punts and kicks in the NFL and actually fielded punts for the Bears for a very brief time. Carter, a 5'8", 190-pounder, is in his 7th NFL season, and the 31-year-old's career has been revitalized the last few years since leaving Chicago. It showed up in several ways. In 2021, the Commanders needed a kick returner. Carter hadn't been better than average at it on his 45 career kick returns with Houston and Philadelphia. He never averaged over the 22.4 yards kick return he had with the Eagles and Texans as a rookie, but at Washington, he broke one kick return, 101 yards for a touchdown, and averaged 25.1 yards that season. All right, what the absolutely impeccable writer of this blog at Bears Digest is trying to say here is that Carter has really molded himself into a quality returner for the special teams unit, and that the Bears picked him up. And it's a very interesting decision, adding competition to a key area of this Bears team. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Bears fans in the comment section below, look, there's an easy answer to this question. You can't say it. That's not even an option. But who is the greatest special teams player in Bears history? I know there's one everyone's going to immediately say, went to the University of Miami, 23. I get all that, right? Not allowable as an answer. Give us somebody else who the best Bears special teams player is of all time and put it in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure you check out the description to get links to all of our recommended football books, NFL books, so that way you can be the smartest person in the comment section. Highly recommend you check it out. A lot of great reads in there. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this addition here by the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, they definitely need to check out the books because maybe you'll become a better writer of articles by reading a little bit. But I think if you kind of muddle through what the article is trying to say, I can make it a little bit more digestible. Basically, what is being said is DeAndre Carter started out in the NFL. He went to the Bears. He wasn't very good those first 2-3 years in the NFL. Since he has left the Bears, he has gotten a lot better. It started out in 2021 with Washington. He had that great kick return there. But also, if you look at the body of work as a whole, he averaged 25.1 yards per average. Then he moves over to the Los Angeles Chargers. Maybe a slight down year for kick returning, but on the flip side of things, for punt returns, he had his highest average of his career on punt returns, 11.7 yards per attempt on punt returns as well. Then flip it back to 2023 with the Las Vegas Raiders. He averaged once again second highest average in his career, 23.8 yards per average on returns for kickoffs. So this is a guy since leaving Chicago. He's gone on 3 different teams, and each year he has been tremendously better in one regard or the other, whether it's returning kicks, whether it's returning punts. So I think it's a really smart move for the Bears to see a guy that they are familiar with, they have some experience with. Now he is coming back to the team, and he is much better than he was. But still, this is a guy who I think is probably pretty underrated as a player as a whole. He hasn't been seen that much. I think, as a receiver, he really hasn't been too great. I think, over the last couple of years, he has had up and down performances as a receiver, nothing too spectacular. But when you see what he's done on special teams, you really dive into there. And this is a guy who's been utilized on special teams by the Bears. This was a great pickup because A, immediate competition on special teams for the Bears, and B, he's shown he's gotten a little bit more explosive the last 3 years. And I think with the new kickoff return rules, this could be huge for the Bears, just adding an extra spark, extra dimension on the special team side of things. So once again, Ryan Poles in this front office makes a pickup that potentially could help the Bears change their odds and get into the playoffs make a deep postseason run.
Yeah, what's interesting about this move is if you just take the names out of it and just focus on the high level points, team signs veteran returner, veteran receiver to a short term 1 year deal to come in and compete for a few reps and a few key situations over the course of the season. That's what happened here, basically. Now, normally when you see teams do that, you look at teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals, right? The Baltimore Ravens, right? You look at when the Rams were all in, they were doing the same thing. The Bucks with Brady a few years ago, right? These are teams that think they have a really strong chance to win a title. They want to bring in a veteran player, an experienced player who understands the atmosphere, the environment, the stadium, the freaking wind in Chicago, right? They want to make sure they have a veteran at least competing, because what they believe, like those contenders would believe, the Kansas Cities, the Baltimores, right? They believe that they're going to be competing for playoff spots and competing for playoff wins. And special teams debacles, especially of a young player who's not up to snuff, they can cost you those games, right? That happens all of the time. But here's what's very interesting. The Bears made this move. To me, this is a sign that the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles, Eberflus, everybody, they've seen this team through mini camps and OTAs, and they think this is a legitimate playoff contending team, not a team that can sneak in at 9-8, maybe get the last wild card as a feel good. You don't make this move. You don't bring in a veteran, right? They're still trying to get whatever they can out of Velus Jones Jr., right? They're hoping Scott can become something. Maybe Pettis can become something, right? You don't bring in a veteran to compete with these young guys, basically to potentially push these guys out the door forever, unless you think you're going to be in a chance to win playoff games and have a serious run at it. And I think the Bears believe that they actually really do. And look, if Caleb Williams is 90% of his potential this upcoming season, the Bears are winning 9 games at least, right? That's just the reality. The NFC is very winnable. It's a lot of good. It's not a lot of great. The 49ers are great. Everyone else is kind of good, right? To be totally honest, the Bears against the Detroit Lions dominated the Lions 7 of 8 quarters last year, right? The Packers, they're good with Jordan Love. I think we all know that. But to be honest, they've got some issues on that roster as well. They're a solid roster, not a great roster. And again, Caleb Williams could offset a lot of Jordan Love. You look at the rest of the NFC, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, NFC South, right? Baker Mayfield. You're like, there's a lot of good. There's not a lot of great, right? And that opens up an opportunity for the Bears. And Ryan Poles, Eberflus, the entire staff, they make this move because they see themselves as contenders. They see a window of opportunity here. And if you look at the roster, the combination of youth and experience, right? You look at Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. You look at, of course, all of the young guys they drafted and brought into the fold this offseason. You look at young defensive players like Booker. You look at veteran guys like Sweat, right? It's got a really good conglomeration of talent here. And it makes sense that the Bears and Ryan Poles believe that they could actually make a run at this thing. It's an aggressive move, right? Because if you're rebuilding, you want to let the young receivers, young returners fight it out to see if they can turn their careers around. But I think the Bears leadership believes that they're a lot better than people think they are. And I think this move proves it. And because of this, Bears fans, you should be excited. And if you're not Bears fans, I'm talking about Lions fans, Packers fans, right, the rest of the NFC, this should worry you a little bit, because a confident Bears team that can actually do a lot of things offensively with Caleb Williams is a Bears team that can win a lot of football games and even make noise in the playoffs.